The smell of vanilla and cinnamon always reminds me of my grandmother. Every Sunday morning, she'd be in her kitchen by 6 a.m., getting ready for what she called her baking meditation. I was the only one who ever got to join her, perched on a worn wooden stool, watching her weathered hands work magic with flour and butter. "Olivia, sweetheart," she'd say, her gray hair catching the morning light. "Baking isn't just about following recipes. It's about love, patience, and," she'd pause, giving me a conspiratorial wink, "secrets." I thought I understood what she meant back then. Now, at 26, standing in my parents' living room watching my sister Amanda wave around a check for $8,000, my inheritance, I finally understood the weight of Grandma Rose's words about secrets. "It just makes sense," Amanda declared, her voice carrying that familiar self-righteous tone. "I'm the one opening a bakery. Grandma would have wanted her money to go toward that." I stared at her, trying to process what was happening. The inheritance check had arrived yesterday, clearly addressed to me. Grandma Rose had passed away 3 months ago, and this was the only thing she'd specifically left to me. Everything else had been divided equally among the family. "But it's my inheritance," I said, my voice smaller than I intended. "She left it to me specifically." Mom stepped forward, her face set in that expression she always wore when she'd made up her mind about something. "Honey, let's be practical. What would you do with $8,000? Put it in savings. Let it sit there. Amanda has a real plan, a business plan." "I have plans too," I protested, feeling my face flush. "I've been saving to start my home." "Your food blog?" Dad interrupted, not looking up from his newspaper. "That's not a real business, Olivia. Amanda's bakery will be a proper family enterprise." The worst part was how unsurprised I felt. It had always been like this. Amanda, the responsible one, the one with real dreams, while my aspirations were treated like cute hobbies. Never mind that my food blog had 50,000 followers and was actually making money through sponsorships. "I already signed the check over to the business account," Amanda announced, tucking it into her designer purse. "The lease on the storefront expires tomorrow, and I needed to secure it." My stomach dropped. "You what? How did you even?" "I had power of attorney," Mom interjected smoothly. "We all agreed this was the best use of the money." "All?" I echoed. I didn't agree to anything. "Don't be difficult, Olivia," Dad sighed, finally looking up. "This is about family. Amanda's bakery will be our legacy. Your grandmother would have understood that." I looked at each of them, Mom's dismissive expression, Dad's disinterest, Amanda's smug smile. 26 years of being the family afterthought crystallized in that moment. "I quit," I said quietly. "What?" Mom asked, genuinely confused. "The bakery, the family business. I quit." My voice grew stronger. "Amanda wanted my inheritance. Fine. But she doesn't get my recipes, my time, or my help." You see, what my family had conveniently forgotten was that I'd been the one helping Amanda develop her menu. I'd spent months adapting Grandma's recipes, testing variations, and creating new ones. The signature items Amanda had been bragging about to potential investors. All mine. "Don't be ridiculous," Amanda scoffed. "You can't quit something you don't own. Besides, they're family recipes." "No," I corrected her, a calm settling over me. "They're Grandma's recipes, which she taught me. And my original recipes are mine. Good luck replicating them." I turned and walked out, ignoring their calls behind me. In my car, I finally let the tears come, not just for the money, but for the years of being treated like I was somehow less than, for every time my dreams were dismissed, my achievements minimized. My phone buzzed with texts. "Mom, you're being childish. Come back inside." "Amanda, don't you dare take the recipes, I'll sue you." "Dad, your grandmother would be disappointed in you." That last one hurt the most because I knew, deep in my heart, it wasn't true. I remembered Grandma Rose's last coherent day in the hospital, how she'd squeezed my hand and whispered, "Check the blue recipe book, dear, the one in the back of my pantry. Promise me." I'd forgotten about it in the chaos that followed, the funeral, the grief, the family politics. But now, I drove straight to Grandma's house. It was empty, waiting to be sold, but I still had my key. The afternoon sun cast long shadows through the dusty windows as I made my way to the kitchen. The pantry door creaked open, and there, on the highest shelf, sat a faded blue notebook. My hands trembled as I pulled it down. It was heavier than I expected, stuffed with loose papers and newspaper clippings. I opened it carefully, and a sealed envelope fell into my lap. My name was written on it in Grandma's elegant handwriting. Inside was a letter, dated just 2 weeks before she passed. My dearest Olivia, if you're reading this, then they've done exactly what I feared they would. Your mother always favored Amanda, and your sister never learned the value of earning things for herself. The $8,000 was a test, one I knew they would fail. But it's not your real inheritance, sweet girl. That's hidden where only a true baker would think to look. You remember our Sunday mornings? How I taught you that the secret to perfect pastry is in the details? Well, I have one last secret to share. Behind the loose brick in the baking alcove, the one that used to drive your mother crazy because it never stayed in place, you'll find what I really left for you. Something worth far more than $8,000. But before you look, promise me this. Whatever you find, use it to build something for yourself. Not for them. You've spent too many years living in Amanda's shadow. Remember what I always told you. Baking isn't just about following recipes. It's about love, patience, and secrets. All my love. Randall Rose. P.S. The recipe book is yours too. Pay special attention to the notes in the margins. Not all ingredients are meant to be edible. I sat on the kitchen floor, reading and rereading the letter until the sun began to set. Then, with shaking hands, I went to the baking alcove, the little nook where Grandma had done all her kneading. The loose brick came away easily, revealing a small metal box. Inside was another envelope, thick with documents and a ring of keys. The documents made me gasp. Ownership papers for a property in the historic district downtown. Bank statements showing an account in my name with enough money to renovate an entire building. And most importantly, the original handwritten recipes for every single one of Grandma's famous creations, including detailed notes about why each recipe worked, the science behind the techniques, and variations she'd never shared with anyone. My phone buzzed again. Amanda, Mom says you went to Grandma's house. Whatever you're looking for, those recipes belong to the family business. I looked at my grandmother's letter, then at the treasures she hidden for me. A slow smile spread across my face as I typed my response. Don't worry about the recipes, Amanda. Keep the $8,000. I just found something much better. Standing in that dusty kitchen, surrounded by the ghosts of Sunday mornings past, I began to plan. Because Grandma was right, baking isn't just about following recipes. Sometimes it's about proving everyone wrong. I took one last look around the kitchen where I'd learned everything I knew about baking and about life. Then I carefully packed up the blue recipe book, the documents, and Grandma's letter. In my car, I pulled up my resignation email draft. I'd been saving it for months, too afraid to send it to the accounting firm where I worked. With a deep breath, I hit send. No going back now. As I drove home, I thought about all those Sundays with Grandma, about the secret techniques she taught only me, about the way she'd smile when I figured something out on my own. She hadn't just been teaching me to bake, she'd been preparing me for this moment. My phone kept buzzing with messages from my family, but I ignored them all. Instead, I pulled up the address from the property documents. It was time to see exactly what Grandma Rose had left me and what I was going to build with it. The building stood on Cherry Street, right in the heart of downtown's historic district. A red brick exterior, large windows, and an ornate cornice that spoke of better days. Most people would have seen a rundown storefront in need of serious renovation. I saw possibility. My hands trembled slightly as I fitted the old brass key into the lock. The door opened with a protesting creak, releasing the musty scent of forgotten spaces. Dust motes danced in the beam of my phone's flashlight as I stepped inside. "Oh, Grandma," I whispered, "what did you do?" The space was huge, at least 2,000 square feet of ground floor retail space. High ceilings with original tin tiles, hardwood floors beneath years of grime. And at the back, barely visible in the dim light, a massive industrial kitchen. I made my way carefully through the room, footsteps echoing. The kitchen equipment was older but top quality, a professional-grade mixer that probably weighed as much as I did, a double-stack convection oven, and a marble pastry counter that made my heart skip. A yellowed envelope sat propped against the mixer. My name again, in Grandma's handwriting. My clever girl. I bought this building 30 years ago when downtown was dying. Everyone said I was crazy, just like they've been telling you about your dreams. But I knew something they didn't. Sometimes the best things need time to prove their worth. The papers you found include the renovation permits I secured last year. Everything's approved and ready to go. The account has $175,000, enough to make this place shine again. Show them what you can do, sweetheart. Love, Grandma. I sank onto an old stool, mind racing. $175,000. A fully equipped kitchen. Prime downtown location. Everything I needed to. My phone buzzed. Amanda. Mom's furious you quit without notice. You're ruining everything. We need those recipes for the menu planning meeting tomorrow. I ignored it and opened the blue recipe book instead. In the better light from my phone, I noticed something strange about Grandma's margin notes. Between the ingredient lists and baking instructions were other numbers, dates, addresses, account details. June 15, 1992. Bought building for $45,000. Down payment from separate account CPG 87. March 2002. Rental income allocation 60% to renovation fund, 40% to secret account. December 2019. Final permit approved. All paperwork in Michael's office. Drawer 3. Michael. Grandma's lawyer. The one Mom and Amanda hadn't wanted to use for the will. Another message buzzed through. Fine, ignore me. But don't come crying when your little blog fails and you need a job. Nobody's going to hire an accountant who abandons their position without notice. I smiled, thinking of the bank account statements in my bag. Don't worry about me, Amanda, I typed back. I've got everything I need. Then I called Michael's office. I wondered when you'd find it, he said warmly when I explained. Your grandmother was very specific about keeping this separate from the main will. She didn't want interference. They took my inheritance check, I told him. Used Mom's power of attorney to sign it over. He sighed. Rose suspected they might. That's why she structured things this way. The building, the accounts, the business licenses. They're all in an ironclad trust. Your family can't touch any of it. Business licenses. Check the envelope again. There should be an approved food service license for that address. Rose renewed it every year, even when the building was empty. I fumbled through the papers. There it was, all the permits and licenses needed to open a bakery, pre-approved and ready to go. She planned everything, I whispered. She believed in you, Olivia. Said you were the only one who really understood the heart of baking, not just the business of it. After thanking him, I sat in a dusty space and opened my laptop. First, I pulled up my blog's analytics. 50,000 followers, 82% engagement rate, and a healthy stream of advertising revenue. The numbers Amanda and my parents had dismissed as just a hobby. Then I opened a new document and began to plan. Week 1 to 2, deep cleaning, equipment testing. Week 3 to 4, basic renovations, electrical updates. Week 5 to 6, kitchen modernization. Week 7 to 8, interior design, branding. Week 9, staff hiring. Week 10, menu testing. Week 11, soft opening. Week 12, grand opening. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time. Amanda's menu planning meeting is tomorrow at 2. You need to be there with those recipes. Family obligations come first. Family obligations. The same guilt trip they've been using on me for years. But sitting in my own building. My building, those words finally lost their power. I typed back, you're right, family obligations do come first. That's why I'm honoring what Grandma actually wanted. Good luck with the meeting. Then I blocked their numbers. The next few hours were a blur of calls and emails. A contractor who could start next week. A designer who specialized in historic renovations. A restaurant supply company for updated equipment quotes. As the sun began to set, streaming through those big windows and painting the floors gold, I sat at the marble counter and opened the blue recipe book again. Past the ingredient lists and Grandma's secret financial notes, I found something else, stories. Little snippets of history behind each recipe. Apple rosemary tart, 1985. Created for the governor's wife. She offered to buy the recipe for $5,000. I refused. Some things aren't for sale. Lavender honey scones, Olivia's first solo recipe, age 12. She understood the balance of flavors better than any chef I've known. Remember the look on Amanda's face when the local paper featured these. Dark chocolate orange tort, our award winner. Olivia perfected the ganache ratio. Note: the published recipe is wrong. Real version equals p. 144. I remember that last one. The tort had won Best Dessert at the State Fair 5 years running. Grandma had let everyone think the recipe in the local cookbook was genuine, but she'd only ever taught the real version to me. The same version Amanda was planning to use as her bakery's signature dish. My laptop pinged, an email from Amanda's business partner. Menu meeting tomorrow at 2. Bring all recipes, especially the chocolate tort, investors attending. I smiled and closed the recipe book. Poor Amanda. She'd built her whole business plan around recipes she didn't actually have. Standing in my soon-to-be bakery, watching the sunset paint the walls, I finally understood what Grandma had been teaching me all those Sundays. Not just about baking, but about patience. About waiting for the right moment. About letting people show who they really are. I took one last look around before leaving. The space was dusty, neglected, in need of love. But it was mine. Really mine. And soon, it would be something extraordinary. Walking to my car, I passed the location Amanda had leased for her bakery, a strip mall storefront between a nail salon and a phone repair shop. The windows were already decorated with vinyl lettering, Sweet Success Bakery, traditional family recipes. I laughed softly. Oh, Amanda, if only you knew what traditional family recipes really meant. Time to show them what I could do. 2:00 p.m. I sat in my car outside Amanda's strip mall location, watching people file into her menu planning meeting. Mom and Dad. 3 men in business suits, the investors. Amanda's business partner, Lisa. Even Aunt Helen, who'd always bragged about having Grandma's secret recipes. Spoiler, she didn't. My phone showed 5 missed calls and 12 messages, all increasingly desperate. Amanda, where are you? Bring the recipe book. Mom, don't embarrass your sister in front of the investors. Dad, last chance to do the right thing. At exactly, I walked in. The conference room fell silent. Amanda's face cycled through relief, anger, and worry as she noticed my empty hands. No recipe book in sight. Finally, she huffed. Where are the recipes? I smiled, taking a seat at the far end of the table. Oh, I'm not here to share recipes. I'm here to save these nice investors some money. One of the suits, gray-haired, expensive watch, raised an eyebrow. And you are? Olivia Parker, the person who actually knows how to make everything on your proposed menu. Amanda's face went white. Mom started to speak, but I held up my hand. You see, gentlemen, my sister's business plan relies heavily on our grandmother's secret family recipes, particularly the dark chocolate orange tort, which won the state fair 5 years running. The one she's projecting to be 40% of her revenue. The investors looked at their papers. The one with the watch, clearly the leader, nodded. But here's the thing, I continued pleasantly. That recipe, the real one? Only 2 people ever knew it, my grandmother and me. 2:00 p.m. I sat in my car outside Amanda's strip mall location, watching people file into her menu planning meeting. Mom and Dad. 3 men in business suits, the investors. Amanda's business partner, Lisa. Even Aunt Helen, who'd always bragged about having Grandma's secret recipes. Spoiler, she didn't. My phone showed 5 missed calls and 12 messages, all increasingly. I turned to the investors. My bakery, Rose and Honey, opens in 12 weeks. You're welcome to come see what Grandma's real recipes taste like. I walked out, shoulders straight, heart pounding. Through the glass, I could see chaos erupting, Amanda crying, Lisa gathering papers, the investors putting on their coats. My phone buzzed one last time, a text from an unknown number. Smart presentation. When you're ready to franchise, call me. Daniel Walsh, Walsh Investment Group. I saved the number but didn't respond. Right now, I had a bakery to build. The next week passed in a blur of activity. The contractors started work, stripping away years of neglect to reveal the building's bones. Every day brought new discoveries: original hardwood under the laminate, pristine tin ceiling tiles above the drop ceiling, even an antique bread oven built into one wall. I spent evenings at the marble counter, testing recipes, making notes. The recipe book yielded more secrets, not just Grandma's financial records, but the real stories behind her success. 1992. Offered $100,000 for the business. Declined. Money isn't everything. Sometimes it's about waiting for the right moment, the right person. 2015. Amanda asked for the torte recipe again. Gave her the public version. She never noticed the difference. Some people bake with their hands, others with their heart. 2020. Property value tripled. Olivia will know what to do with it. She understands that patience is more than a virtue, it's a strategy. Between renovation decisions and recipe testing, I barely noticed my family's attempts to contact me. Aunt Helen tried visiting the construction site. Uncle Pete called with a business proposition. Even Mom's bridge club friends took turns dropping by, casually asking about recipes. I focused on my plan instead. The contractor restored the original storefront windows, flooding the space with light. The kitchen equipment was upgraded, keeping Grandma's beloved mixer, but adding modern touches. The designer created a space that honored the building's history while feeling fresh and inviting. But the real work happened late at night, when I was alone with the recipe book and my testing notes. Each recipe needed to be perfect, better than perfect, because this wasn't just about proving my family wrong anymore. It was about proving Grandma right. One evening, as I was locking up, I noticed the light still on in Amanda's strip mall location. Through the window, I could see her in the kitchen, surrounded by mixing bowls and ingredients, frantically trying to recreate Grandma's chocolate torte. For a moment, I felt a twinge of sympathy. Then I remembered the stolen inheritance, the years of dismissal, the casual cruelty. Some things, I whispered, echoing Grandma's words, aren't for sale. I drove home, the recipe book safe beside me, ready to continue what Grandma had started. Because sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't about hurting others. It's about rising higher than they ever thought you could. Opening day of Rose and Honey dawned clear and crisp. I stood outside my bakery at 4 a.m., key in hand, taking in the restored facade. The vintage sign glowed softly in the pre-dawn darkness. Rose and Honey Artisan Bakery. Established 2025 with in memory of Rose Parker in smaller letters below. Inside, everything was ready. Display cases gleamed, the coffee machine hummed, and the kitchen was stocked and spotless. But most importantly, the ovens were hot and the first batch of Grandma's real chocolate torte was baking, filling the air with the scent of orange and dark chocolate. I'd seen Amanda's grand opening 2 weeks ago, a quiet affair with more empty tables than customers. The local paper had called her recipes bland and forgettable. She closed early, the lights off by 3 p.m. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. It's not too late to share the recipes. We're family. I deleted it without responding and turned to my staff. Carefully selected, extensively trained, each one chosen because they understood that baking was about heart, not just ingredients. Ready? I asked. They nodded, excitement visible on their faces. We'd done 3 days of private tastings for food critics and local influencers. The reviews had started dropping last night. Rose and Honey delivers more than nostalgia. It's innovation rooted in tradition. The dark chocolate orange torte alone is worth the visit. Downtown's new crown jewel. At 7 a.m., I unlocked the doors. A line had already formed, familiar faces from the neighborhood, tourists, and yes, some of my food blog followers who traveled just for this. The first customer was a surprise. Daniel Walsh, the investment group leader from Amanda's failed meeting. One of everything, he said, smiling, and congratulations. This is exactly what I hope to invest in. Authenticity and excellence. Thank you, I replied, boxing up his order. But I'm not looking for investors. He laughed. No, I don't suppose you are. But when you're ready to expand, keep my card. By noon, we'd sold out of everything except a few cookies. As my staff prepared the second baking of the day, I finally had a moment to sit at one of the antique tables by the window. The same table where Grandma used to have her morning coffee when this was her building. The bell over the door chimed. I looked up to see Amanda standing there, looking smaller somehow, less confident. Your torte, she said quietly. It's perfect. Exactly like Grandma's. I know. I tried 17 different recipes. Nothing worked. She twisted her hands together. My investors pulled out yesterday. The bank won't extend our loan. I heard. She took a deep breath. I'm sorry. About the inheritance. About everything. I studied her face, remembering all our history, the competition, the dismissal, the theft. But I also remembered something from Grandma's recipe book. Success is the best revenge, but forgiveness is the best recipe for peace. Would you like some coffee? I asked finally, I just took some orange cardamom rolls out of the oven. Her eyes widened in surprise. Really? Sit, I said, gesturing to the chair opposite me. But understand, I'm not giving you the recipes. Ever. She nodded slowly, sinking into the chair. As I went to get our coffee, I saw Mom and Dad outside, watching through the window. They didn't come in, but Dad gave me a small nod before they walked away. That evening, after we closed and cleaned up, I sat at the marble counter with Grandma's recipe book. There was one last note I hadn't read, tucked into the very back. My dearest Olivia, by now you've done it. Opened your own place, showed them all what you can do. I'm only sorry I couldn't be there to see it. Remember this, success isn't just about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. You've always been enough, exactly as you are. The recipes are yours now. Share them, keep them, change them. It's your choice. Just like this business is your choice. Your life is your choice. I chose you for this because you understand that baking isn't just about following recipes. It's about love, patience, and yes, sometimes secrets. But mostly, it's about rising up, no matter how many times life tries to knock you down. Rise high, my sweet girl. All I love. Grandma Rose. I closed the book gently, looking around my bakery, know my legacy. Tomorrow, we do it all again. We bake and serve and create moments of joy for our customers. And maybe, just maybe, some bridges would slowly begin to mend. But for now, sitting in the quiet of my own kitchen, surrounded by the lingering scent of orange and chocolate, I knew one thing for certain. I had risen higher than anyone expected, and I was just getting started.